So this is White versus the Sicilian, Lesson 8, Part 3. This is a game of Anand versus Leko. E4, C5, Knight F3, D6, D4, C takes D4, Knight takes D4, Knight F6, Knight C3, A6, Bishop E3, E5, Knight F3. So this Knight F3, instead of a different move of Knight B3, which leads to a very complex and theoretical position after Bishop E6, F3, Bishop E7, Queen D2, castles, queenside castles. Anand had no wish to see what new idea Leko had come up with for black, and so prefers a more positional approach. And now we're going to follow the Indian Grandmaster's example. And play Knight F3. Black responds with Bishop E7. Now black could have prevented the white bishop from getting to C4, but white maintains a small but definite advantage. For example, could have been played Queen C7, followed by A4, Bishop E7, Bishop E2, castles, castles, Bishop E6, or B6, Queen D3, Knight B D7, Queen C4, offering a trade, Queen takes C4, Bishop takes C4, and the bishop reaches C4 after all. Continuing our first variation, Bishop E6, A7, H6, Knight D5, Knight takes D5, E takes D5, Bishop F5, C4, and white can prepare an advance of his queenside pawns with the aim of breaking through on C5 with B2 to B4 and C4 to C5. So now let's return back to where we were here, where black moved Bishop to E7. White moves Bishop C4. Now the bishop seizes the best diagonal where it consolidates white's hold over the D5 square. Castles, castles, Bishop E6. Now you might also consider Bishop or black might consider Bishop G4, and play could continue at like this: A4, Knight C6, H3, Bishop H5, G4, Bishop G6, Knight D2. And here the black bishop is shut out of the game on G6. Black would have no useful pawn breaks with which to put the loosened white kingside under pressure, as the advance of D6 to D5 and F7 to F5 are virtually impossible to achieve. In fact, black would have to watch out for his opponent encroaching even further on the kingside with H3 to H4, threatening to trap the bishop. So we'll go back to here, and black plays Bishop E6, Bishop B3, Knight C6, Bishop G5, with the positional threat of Bishop takes F6, eliminating one of the defenders of D5. When after black makes the move of a 12th move of Bishop takes F6, black's dark squared bishops wouldn't be able to attack much in the future. Therefore, Leko prefers to keep the knight to fight for the D5 square. Knight D7. Bishop takes E7. Queen takes E7. Knight D5. queen d8, c3. Now white can use this pawn to guard d4. Unfortunately for black, he cannot fight for d5 in a similar way. Knight a5. Rook e1, rook c8, h3, knight b6. Now in a later game, Leko improved his play with b5 instead, which led to a quick draw after knight h2, knight c6, c4, bishop takes c4, b takes c4, b4 in order to stop knight c5 and knight d3. c takes b3, a takes b3, bishop takes d5, queen takes d5, rook takes c3, and they called it a draw. And this was Svidler versus Leko in 2006. But now actually after rook takes a6, I think white still has some winning chances. If your opponent wants to learn all this theory by heart just to end up in a position with 0 winning chances, well, good luck to him.